I am so super amazed that I have one of the most wonderful women that I've met, that I've recently put into my 9 most important women in my life circle. You know, you have that circle of people that you can go to for anything, that will listen to you, protect you, teach you, that you admire. They're doing amazing things in their life and moving forward. And guess where she's from? Yes, she is from Canada. I've met Patricia Karen Gagic. I knew I was going to do that. Gagic 4 years ago in a box. Actually, that's why I probably never said her last name. In the box, you know, it was pre-COVID, but we had masterminds and all the great groups get together. And we had I had gone to an event, a mastermind with Craig Deslett and Ken Walls. And she was part of the Craig group and I was part of the Ken group. And then they got together and did all these wonderful seminars. You got to have these groups to inspire you. And you'll never know who you'll meet. Patricia is freaking amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing. And we have some of our same people in our same circles now. And if you haven't already been to her website, you'll want to go there. Tenacity, resilience, following the path. Find a solution and do the work. Hesitation is the worst crime in the making of something. Allow yourself the opportunity to execute it without hesitation. How many of us have stopped, right? Without further ado, I'm going to keep talking about her, but I don't want you to not miss. I want you to see her right now because she's here backstage, ready, live from Canada. Patricia Gagic. Yes, yes, yes.
Hello.
And we're going to want to hear all about the karmic art experience. But one more little quote I want to tell you, because we also are in love with one of my mentors, which is Glenn Morshower. And I didn't even know it. I don't even know how many years ago that he wrote this for her. The world needs people to appear from time to time to jolt us into consciousness. Life has gifted with us. Life has gifted us with Patricia Gagic, and she handles this assignment with grace, Glenn Morshower. Now, Glenn is one of those people that, like food, you need to have him on a daily basis. I have to get after him to have his own little show so that we can just go into it for a little meditation, a little quiet spot, a little encouragement, just to hear his voice. I'm currently spending 24 hours a week with him, and I can't get enough. I can't get enough. So Patricia knows him, and she's been on all of their shows, and she's in a mastermind with me, where I saw her not in the box, but actually spent 3 days with her in Dallas, Texas, and we had the most wonderful, wonderful time. Patricia! And while we're there, she gifted us with one of her pieces of artwork. Look at this. Patricia, before we get into everything that you do that's amazing, why don't we start here?
The path. So the path is a photograph that I actually won a medal with, and it was the Salon National Beaux-Arts, the SNBA, at the Carousel du Louvre in Paris. And it was submitted by one of the agents I deal with, Benedict Lacotte, who lives in Cannes in France. And she submitted it, and I think it was 2018. And I won the gold medal in photography, first female and first female Canadian to win the gold medal, which, that it was beyond special, such an incredible moment to inhale. And, the Salon National Beaux-Arts event actually has been going on, I think, for like 156 years. Photography only became a category, I think probably 25 or 30 maybe a bit more than that years ago. So there's still lots of, years ahead for more women to actually enter and win these moments. Yeah. So that's the path.
And that's only one little huge award that she got. She's been doing this her whole life. She started off in banking and then did a retirement home. Mm-hmm. And she has just grown and grown and grown and grown. 1999, she did a solar mentorship with her master artist and in France. And why don't you tell them a little bit about that? Because that's very magical. And you're still friends, right? You're still working together.
Oh, yes. He's
like your major mastermind. You're major at the circle of your round table.
Yeah. It's funny because I think I put Glenn Morshower in a very interesting sort of spiritual reality. And then I have Dragan Dragic, who is my painting maestro. And of course, I also have my drumming maestro, Greg. So I have a number of people that, you know, really are at the top of the food chain in my life. But I was lucky because going back to 1999, my husband kept saying he wanted to go to France. We should go on a trip. And he kept cutting out this little ad that was in the Globe and Mail. And it was for the Sunflower Apartment in La Bigoud de Mazinc. And I swear he probably cut it out. Like there had to have been 50 of these sitting beside the telephone. Anyways, I was at the gallery that represented me in Toronto. And when I came home, he said, "You're going to get a phone call and we're going to France." And I said, "Okay." And this man's going to call you and you're going to meet him and get all the, you know, the itinerary and everything. Anyways, I ended up going to this man's house in Toronto. He had an incredible art collection. I mean, it was over the top, 3 floors. And when he wanted to know, "Did you want us to have a tour?" I said, "Yes." I walk past this one painting and it's of an abstract white horse, really beautiful in the colors and the saturation. And I look at the name and it said Dragic. And my husband's Serbian. So I said, "Oh, this is Dragic." And he said, no, he's French. It's Dragic. I said, "Okay." And he said, "He doesn't live that far. He's about 3 hours away from where you're going to be." And it was one of those moments. You mentioned hesitation, I think, is the greatest crime. And I didn't hesitate. I just said, I need to meet this man. So that story evolved into, he said no, he didn't want to meet me. We called back, he connected, and then he said, "You can come, you can't be late." We were 3 hours late. We took the wrong road up Mont Ventoux. And then we meet him, and it was a moment that I to this day, I still cry and I still have the emotion behind it. He took me up to his atelier, his studio, and he lives in a 5th century beautiful place in Savoyon. And as I walk up the stairs of the turret and these winding stairs, and I get to the top and I see his name on all these incredible posters with Picasso, Alvarez, Christo. And I'm thinking, I'm way out of my league here. Like I am not in the right place. So of course, it's like massive reverence, you know, you're bowing down to this art god. And anyways, he showed all his work. We got into a beautiful conversation. I did bring some photographs of my work to show him. And we're walking out to the car. And he said, he doesn't speak English. And he said, what are the 3 things that you want? What does she want? And does she want money? Does she want fame? What does she want? And my husband said, "No, she really just wants to be a good painter." And he said, "I'll give her 1 week, but she has to come back and she must speak some French." So I went home and I hired a tutor, 32 hours of crazy me reading and dreaming in French until finally we went on the trip and I got there and I am with him. I can't even speak a word. I went into a zone of, oh my God, like I don't know what to say. But that, I mean, there's so many stories that evolve from that. The way he taught me, I've been going back and forth now for 25 years, literally. I had an exhibition with him. He invited me to exhibit with him. And we spent, 32 hours, I'm going to say, was just with the tutor. On top of that, I spent like 8 hours a day and I've got all my Le Baron books. I mean, I was immersed. I could not stop. So the tutor was 32 hours, but the commitment was hours and hours and hundreds of hours. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I became one of his only students, and female. Again, he was really quite, he said he knew that I was so committed because I did everything that he asked me to do, and that I was finally able to show him. So the cool part about this, and I feel like I'm rambling, but I hope it's okay.
No, it's fantastic.
His way of painting was so different. It was the Matisse palette. But in order for me to understand, he doesn't name the colors. You know, he doesn't call it, well, we're going to mix this with this. He used Rembrandt oil paint, and it was by number. So I had to work memorizing the entire palette by virtue of numbers. So we would mix 517 and 506. We would mix 238 with 317 and a dot of titanium or zinc. And so my whole brain just became saturated, and I saw a color, and he would go to one of his books, because I would spend weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks going back and forth to be with him. And we'd walk in, and he'd say, I open up this book, and here's this color on this particular painting, reproduce it. And oftentimes it would be a shade of what we would say would be like a white. It's not white, because in order for you to sometimes get these particular colors, you have to mélange. You have to mix a little of this with a little of that until I got it perfect. So he forced me to, you know, completely go to zero, as he would say, you know nothing. And that's how we started. He told me, he said, Patricia, you know nothing. I want you to come here and erase everything that you know. And I want you to start with me. And if you want to be combative with me about it, that's your ego. And then I can't have you here. So you don't have an ego. You have a blank canvas for a brain, and you're going to completely listen to what I tell you. You can do what you want with it once you become a master. But right now, I want you to not to challenge me. And of course, you know, I'm me. So of course, there were always little mini challenges about things. But we ended up having we do have an incredible relationship, and love him to pieces. I honor the fact that the universe allowed me to have this incredible, you know, gift of learning from him. And wow, like, you never want to surpass.
I mean,
yeah,
wow.
You never want to surpass your master. Like, I mean, in complete reverence to him. And so for a long, long time, I never ever jumped out saying, oh, well, I'm a student of Dragic or whatever. I just didn't do that. Like, it didn't serve me. And I think in the long run, now that I look at my long standing career, you know, prior to him and then 25 years with him, you know, it's like a 40, 50 year career. I feel so blessed, because I get to do what I feel is the truth, the essence of myself, but with the tools that were taught to me by someone who has never had a job in his whole life. All he's ever done is wake up in the morning, he has his rituals, and he goes to his atelier and he paints. And wow, and he's very successful. So it's he's without a doubt my incredible guru for sure.
Amazing. Aren't you all getting goosebumps from this? I went to just read, like Grace wrote a couple of wonderful things. What do you want is always the trigger. Take that into your own lives, everybody. What do you want is always the trigger. Grace Cavalieri, she's a poet laureate of Maryland.
Wow.
She was for 4 years, and she's 92 and has like 27 books out. She's still writing and has a show that she's been on at the Library of Congress for like 100 years. And the Facebook user, if you can turn on your StreamYard, then we'll know who you are. The blank canvas as a brain. Love you. Share the technique he taught you. Just think about taking your brain. Her brain is amazing. You will not believe all the things she can do. Hi, Charlotte. Terrific story, she says. Hi, Nick. Thank you for joining us. Hi, everybody. Hi, Eric. I just want to keep Grace going, but I mean, Grace, I love Grace. I want to keep my dear friend Patricia, Pat, going, because this is an amazing time, and I want you to really get her essence so that we can spread the word about her, because the whole world needs to know about her. I mean, they do, but one person at a time, we can spread the word, because she's got such an amazing message, and that was just a piece of it. 2006, she participated in building the first Buddhist library in Cambodia, and my goodness, she's got children, she's got schools, she's got fixed a library. You want to touch on that a little bit? Because we're going to go through just a few, because
Yep.
I want everyone to get an essence, and then you need to go log on to her LinkedIn and her social media platforms and learn more. And if you do podcasts, have her on your show so that she can help other people get to those little seeds of who they are. Because just think of everything she does is just being brave, stepping out, not hesitating. She says hesitation is the worst of all crimes, especially in art, but it applies to anything that you do in your world. The feelings which reside inside each of us demands our attention. I'm just going to go back and let her go into Cambodia, because that got her attention.
Oh boy. So I've been a studier of many things, and for a long time, religion, philosophy, all of that was important. My curiosity allowed me to dip into Buddhism. I actually did study the Kabbalah, the Zohar, the Tanya, Maimonides, the Hanmi Esoteric Mystery School of Buddhism, the Foundation for the Preservation of Mahayana Tradition. Anyways, it led me to a path where I had this understanding outside of self, and that encouraged me for my whole life anyways to be a volunteer. So I volunteered for multiple local communities, for the Cancer Center, the United Way, Bach Elgar Choral Society, Big Sisters, oh my gosh, on and on and on. So there is an organization here in our community, the Center for Compassion and Wisdom. Anyhow, I had the opportunity to go to China, but in 2006, my friend was writing a book on Marcahuasi, the stone forest of Peru. She had lived there for 25 years, and she was very interested in going to have her book published in Thailand. And I said, well, if you're going to Thailand, you should go into this place called Angkor Wat. I only knew about it because a girl that had worked for me when I was in the bank came from Cambodia in the early 70s and brought many tragic, sad stories with her, which really had an impact on me about what was going on in Cambodia back then with Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge, the regime. It was a horrific genocide. So she said, you know what, I think I might do that. She hops on the plane from Bangkok and gets into Siem Reap and decides she's going to go to Angkor Wat. And as she's walking through, she's going all the way down to the end, to the South Pagoda. And there's a monk standing there. And there's this cement pad and with these, sticks. And she said, what's going on here? And there's a little sign on the side that says, School for Poor Children and Orphanage. And the monk said, oh, the head of this pagoda, Master Kawan, is going to be asked to leave because UNESCO is coming in and they're starting to really ramp up changing the sandstone structures. They want to improve the area because they want to bring more tourism. This is an eyesore. But Master Kawan thinks that if he could, okay. So during the time of the Khmer Rouge, they burned all the books, but they buried a lot of the Buddhist teachings and also the Cambodian folklore underground in the stupas, in the cemetery. So now 25 years later, Master Kawan said, I think it's time for me to dig these out, rewrite them on reeds, and then build a library where the future will be able to actually have access to them. So Kathy phoned me and she said, and she called me right there on the spot. She said, do you have $5,000? And I said, oh my God, did you lose your wallet? Someone steal your purse? And she goes, no, you're building a library. And that's what happened. So it was so, that hesitation didn't happen. I just said, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. And so the next thing you know, luckily, and I don't think this is luck, I think the angels are up there, and they said in 2007, our friends wanted to go on a trip all through China and starting up in Beijing. And this was just before the Olympics were going to take place in Beijing. And they said, we're going to start in Beijing, but we're going to crisscross, zigzag, drive, fly, whatever, all the way down to Shanghai. And in my brain, I'm like, whoa, we're pretty close to Cambodia if we do this. So yes, that's what happened. I got all the way down to Shanghai, hopped on a plane, went to Cambodia, met Master Kawan, saw the library that was built. And I wasn't the only supporter. I mean, we probably put quite a bit of money into it, but the relationship with Master Kawan was incredible. And I got to meet all of the kids and all the young monks and saw all the work that they were doing. But there were parts of this that were really, really missing. They didn't have washroom facilities. They didn't have a real kitchen. They didn't have a shower. This is like in kind of like jungle. And I'm thinking, okay, this has got to be fixed up. And a lot of the buildings were really, really bulleted. Like they had like holes in them. There were no tarps or things that were over the tops of some of their sleeping areas on the stilts. And so I thought, I went back home, and then I wrote to the coordinator, Tani, the translator, and I said, what would it take to actually fix this place up? And he came back with a number, and it was, significant. And I thought, I can do this, but I don't think I can do it by myself. I want to do it. So I went to a friend of mine in Toronto who's a Monsignor at the Catholic Church. And I said, Brad, I said, I need help. And he said, okay, what do you need? And we were doing the Colors of Freedom Foundation after 9/11. And I told him, I said, well, do you think you could give me like $25,000 US? And he's looking at me, he goes, what's this for? And I said, for a Buddhist temple and orphanage and school. And he goes, okay.
Oh,
and that's what happened. So he gave me the additional seed money. We all put our money in, and we actually converted the entire place. It's still thriving. It's doing really, really well. And then he came to me X number of years ago, and he said, there's a little village in Buyang Miala, which was had a lot of landmines, and the landmines were cleared. After the landmines were cleared, they found this little village with, there were 50 children there. They had never seen a pencil, a pen, a book. And so we said, we need to build an innovation house and a small library to get that started. So we did some work there, and then I went there again to see them and meet them. And then Tani, my interpreter from 2006, he came to me and he said, I think we should do a small school in Village Rameus, where I am. And so right now we have 50 students every day. We built a computer lab. So we are teaching the children how to work on the computers. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. The kids arrive, and we feed them milk and give them a little bit of breakfast. And then they do their work. Art is a huge part of it, of course. And then we do some finance. We teach them they all have piggy banks. They're all learning about banking. And we built a chicken farm so that they would learn how to look after animals and livestock. And then last year, with the help of my Rotary Club and my friends, we bought a plot of land, a mango tree farm that they now operate, and they grow their own fruit and vegetables. They sell them. They're self-sustaining. So the amount of money that we have to send monthly is really reduced because they're actually revenue generating. And but I still, when I need to replace computers and printers and whatnot, that's when I reach out sometimes to my friends, and I'll say, I need $300. And I've got beautiful friends who they know, and some of them are regular, monthly donating like $100. And it's beautiful. It's a blessing. And so I get really excited about Cambodia for sure.
Aren't you all inspired? Look at those little light bulb moments, all the little things that she's done that we can be doing in your own neighborhoods. You can start off small. One drop of water builds a river, an ocean.
Yes.
A community. So now we're at 2007. Do you want to talk about realism a little bit, or the Institute there when you got accredited as an international certified artist? Or should we just keep going on? Because there's so much. I want to make sure we get it all in because you're so excited.
Just keep going. That's a designation that, I was honored with.
And then we already talked a little bit about you exhibiting. I know which one I want to hit. 2013.
What happened?
Knighted as Dame of the International Order of St. George, Grand Prior of Canada.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really sure what there is to say about it. I was very, very honored that they chose me to be knighted. So yes, I'm a Dame of the Order of St. George. And it has to do with the amount of service work that you have actually done and what your volume of integrity is around humanitarian efforts. And again, I've had my fingers silently in a lot of different things, and so it's not a super active organization. It is in certain parts of the world. The Niagara area that I'm involved in, we had so many of our members unfortunately pass away because a lot of them are retired from being in the Air Force or armed services. And so we're probably going to be reestablishing, bringing in some new membership. But again, it was a beautiful, unbelievable moment to experience. Yeah.
Is that the one where you're wearing the crown and the sashes? Is that
No,
one? Or was that
no.
a different award?
That was Artist of the Year in New York.
Artist of the Year in New York. Let's go there for a minute. I love New York. I had my son there.
Oh.
I love the crown. What can I say?
Yeah. So Art Tour International, who I've been involved with for the last decade, named me twice Artist of the Year. I think it was 2019 or 2020, and then 2023. And they have top 60 masters, which I was also part of. And then now, which is sort of interesting, is the Art Titans. And this is a group that they've chosen 10 artists and from around the world, different locations. And they decided to do a 60-minute documentary on each of the artists. So this particular Friday, I am going to be flying to New York, and it's the red carpet of our trailers of the Titan series. And then my documentary will be released sometime, I think probably after, maybe in March, here in my hometown. We will probably have a premiere. Maybe I'll make it a fundraiser for, possibly we're talking about the Westdale Theater, which is incredible. It's going to be 90 years old. It's an amazing facility. So there's a lot of discussion, but I think I'm super nervous. Like, that whole camera thing and seeing yourself on the screen. I mean, it's a Zoom screen. It's different, but when you're like in a documentary and it's going to be seen by like Apple TV, Roku, millions of people. And I'm thinking, what did I say when they came here to film for 5 days? Where was I? What was I doing? I mean, they were amazing, Viviana and Alan, but it's that moment where, oh my gosh, like, I'm not so sure I want to see this.
Oh, yes, you do. And we do. You don't have to. We do. And just for you in the moment, because you are amazing, just the way you are.
Thank you.
And then we can hit one of the WXN top 100 most powerful women in Canada 4 times on this one, folks. Yeah. 4 times.
I was nominated. The first time it was Free the Children that nominated me, Craig and Mark Kilberger, who I was on their advisory board for a number of years. And I wasn't chosen. And then the following year I was nominated again, and I did win one of the categories. And then the following year I was nominated and I won again. And the following year I was nominated and I won. So after 3, they came to me and said, we are going to induct you into the Hall of Fame. So I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I've not been nominated again. I don't think it's necessary. I think seriously. So that's been very special. So Women's Executive Network, top 100 most powerful. And so it was a nice celebration to honor. Yeah.
And something that you should know is she came into the room so humble and sweet, and everyone already loved her, and no one knew all this stuff. Think about that.
Well,
greatness. And then she just is like a little bubbling pool. Up comes, how that's Beverly Hills song go? Up came the oil. And then she goes, boom, with all this magnificence. She started off with a dream when she was 10. She wrote in one of, those little, in the back of the magazines back in the day, there was one of those little, draw the picture and send it in.
Profile.
And she did, yes. And they said, yes, we'd love to have you in our school. You've got talent.
That was a funny moment because, think back then, there was only those Life magazines and Maclean's. And I kept seeing that ad in the back of the magazine, and I just would draw it and draw it and draw it. And then finally my mom or my dad sent it into them, and you would get a response back that said whether or not you should, be an artist. The day that I actually received this envelope and it said, yes, we believe that you will be an artist. It was like the seed was planted that, well, they said I was 10 years old and I should be an artist. Of course I should be an artist, because whoever they are, they said I should. So that's funny, because it was that little tiny moment where someone in authority that you don't know, that's somewhere else on the planet, and it's so huge because when you're 10 and the whole world is so massive, you have no comprehension of the magnitude of what's going on out there. You just feel like you won a lottery just by having somebody say, yeah, you should be an artist. So I believed it.
And she did, and it worked. And think of that. This is before social media. This is when, that was
the
huge.
only social media, the radio, TV.
The Mail, Life magazine, and I think the TV only had 4 channels or 5 channels or something.
Right.
And it was black and white or something.
Yeah.
Yes. Exhibits. Heck, she's in London, Chelsea, Kensington in UK. Where else are you? You're all over the world at this point.
Again, by virtue of, I don't know if you show up at the right place at the right time, but I was invited to, I've had multiple exhibitions, but I was invited to the Florence Biennale, the first one back in, I think, 2000 or 2001. So I went to Firenze and exhibited my work. My oil work. And one of the artists who was with me, wasn't with me, but was with me from Canada, was invited to meet Mr. Bottinelli, who was one of the really important artist organizations, BB International Fine Arts. And he was in Caslano, Switzerland. Anyways, she asked me if I wanted to get on the train and go to Milano from Florence, and then from Milano go up to meet him in Caslano. And I'm thinking, why not? I'm here for 8 days. I'm just going to go. So we got a ticket. We got up there and met him, and he asked me, he said, I want to exhibit your work. He said, I love your work. And I'm thinking, okay, this is very cool. So we came back and he sent me invitations over like 2006, 2007, all the way up. So I did art fair in Korea. I did the Innsbruck Art Fair, Europe Art Genève. I did the Zurich Art Fair at the Congress House multiple times. Then I had an exhibition at the gallery in Einen-Neuen-Kranzler Eck in Berlin. Anyway, so it's sort of expanded. And then when you go sometimes, as I was attending a lot of these, you meet other artists and you meet other galleries come up to you or other organizations. And then you sort of pick and choose. It's an expensive game to be in. I call it a game. It's not a game, but it's an expensive industry. It's on the, other side of the world. So everything costs to do it. But I was really fortunate in my situation that I was able to. So.
And there she is, just saying yes and not hesitating.
Right.
We are, you've got so many awards. They are amazing. Amazing. Top best 60 best artists in New York 2018, 2019, 2020. We're just going to talk about art for a few more minutes, and then we're going to switch into the other things that she does, because she's a photographer, which I opened with that beautiful picture, and then the path, and then her drumming.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll go into IT for a little bit. So that's our next 25 minutes. And if you want to drop in questions at the end, she's happy to answer them. Or if you want to find out how to get her on your show, because now she needs to practice and see herself so that she'll be even more dynamic for her big documentary. So let's talk about photography. All these amazing places she went. Of course, she had her camera.
Yeah. So there's a little story about this photography thing too. So I've had a Nikon camera that it's almost like my Nikon became like a human, and it would literally allow me to take pictures that I really don't know a great deal, honestly, about the technical side of photography, because I have too many other things that I wanted to do. So I never felt, that I could really do the deep dive, but I was able to do enough that I created some pretty cool images. So I did have the muse, who is in the path. His name is Blake. And he was also a musician who I did several years. He really, I would call him and I'd say the weather's really wonky. Let's go out and do some photography. So we would go out by the lake, and he was quite a beautiful person, long black hair. And I would put makeup on him and very goth, but we would try and create some, so we created some really interesting scenes. I would say that it was, I think, for a photographer, if you have someone like that, if you have a muse, someone who is pliable, who is like the actor, who knows their emotional capacity so well, and you connect with them at a level that when you're speaking and you're in a conversation, and I would talk to him to the point where it'd be like, this is your last minute of death. We would just get into deep and dark places, and that would bring him to an emotion that, I would just be run. And some of them I would capture only 2 or 3 seconds, and then the weather would change or something would change. But in addition to him, I also had another, a woman who was a physician here at McMaster University, who was also a yoga instructor and a dancer. Beautiful woman who's over 6 feet tall. And the same thing, I would call her and I'd say, it's a gorgeous day. Do you want to go out to the forest? And we did a lot of super cool shots. I have boxes and boxes and slides and containers of images that I've never even revealed or shown a few. But so funny story, because this is really cool. And I don't think he's probably even on the call, but I had the fortune of sitting on an airplane, on a flight beside this gentleman who worked for a very significant company. We chatted about life and art and things, and he asked me for my card. I gave him my card, and a week later...
Oh, excuse me. It's an amazing card. It's right here. I have it.
Oh, I know. I need to show you this.
Anyway, this is Patricia Gagic's business card.
Yeah.
Look at how wonderful it is. Have you ever seen such a special one? I've seen some really good ones, but this one, of course, is my favorite. Look at that. The detail. She is first class all the way. What did you want to show us?
Anyways.
The camera. Yes.
I got this incredible camera body and then 2 lenses. And I mean, just again, it's like that moment where from now on, I'm going to be taking pictures with this particular camera. And yes, so life is interesting. All I can say, it's got many possibilities.
Say yes and don't hesitate, and keep it in your circle of what you're going for in life, because you can't get too much like a ping pong machine. You got to keep focused. All of this, if you notice, is in Pat's life. It's all in her art, her new life, right? Even though you started from banking and doing your retirement home and all the things you have to do to kind of survive and get going. But the whole time, she kept her eye on the bull, on the prize of art. So she says, did you have you used the camera yet?
Yes, I have. And I'm so blown away. I can't even tell you. So it's coming with me this weekend to New York. So I'm going to do some pretty cool shots there, I think. And we'll see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm thinking about all those pictures that are packed away. I'm feeling a couple of beautiful books for, the coffee table books. I see one with your paintings. I see one with your photography, maybe one with just the male, one with just the female. Oh my goodness. Because I want 2 right now.
So I think for most people, I mean, traveling is a huge deal for us. Like we love to travel, and I love to see different, city sites, locations, but it's like I'm the oddball. Like we go to Louisiana and I want to go into the swamp. So so I ended up, this is going back 20 years ago. And I was really lucky that this gentleman who is, his name was Mr. Blanchard, and he was probably in his 90s. And he was one of the runners who would go into the bayou. And the bayous change, and people who know this, the bayous change from year to year depending on the level of the water and what's been growing, and then what's shifted and moved and takes over. So he was a bayou runner probably from the time he was 5 years old. And so I had my camera with 12 or 14 rolls of film, and he said, okay, I'll take you out there. And he took me at a certain time of day so that we could go out as far as we could possibly go. I took National Geographic kind of pictures that were like incredible. The cypress knee trees, so many beautiful, beautiful images. And I came back and I thought, this, like, the hardest part for me was where he took me. He actually ended up taking me to an alligator pit. And I mean, we're not even near land now. We are so into this, like the bayou. And if fear is not my currency, trust me, fear became my currency that day. Where was a little boat, like it's like with a little motor, and he went so close in. I mean, I was thinking these things are going to come out and eat us. This is my death. I'm seeing myself on the cover of Human Eaten by Alligator. The only thing I really wanted was all the bags I could have made, those alligator bags, purses. But anyways,
no, you got the shot.
Yeah. So he got us back to land, and I went back down there a couple of years later, and he was still alive. And I tried to find out if he would take me, and he took me again because the scenery had changed, the things, everything had changed. And I was able to take another series of photographs, which again, they're all sitting in a box, and I've not really done anything with them. But that to me, and then of course, going to Nepal and Tibet with that visual that you don't see what other people see. I guess we all are the same. Like, you don't see what I see. I don't see what you see. You think something's beautiful. I think it's ugly. You're whatever. It's like, we're all different. So the other place where I became like, I didn't even want to walk. I just wanted to stand in the moment of being on top of the Chimpuk Mountains, and taking the prayer flags all flying, and the sun is glowing, and oh my God, like, I think I probably look at those photographs at least twice a year. I'll just sit there and just go through them, and so photographs are very meaningful. They really are. I know we capture things in the moment, but if you're the one who's been in the experience, and it is life-changing when again, going into this area, I was with Lama Glenn Mullen, one of the world's leading Tibetologists. He's written over 37 books in translating Sanskrit Dharma about the various Dalai Lamas. And he himself is a totally enlightened being. I mean, it was beyond a privilege for me to be with him in this small group, and days and days that we get up really early. We would get up to the mountains. He would take us into monasteries. He crossed us over into places like outside of Lhasa. And so and I say this because I think I am a pretty shy person, but if you can take yourself out of that comfortable zone, and the risk of learning something new about yourself, but also the risk of just simply being in an experience that you have no expectation, because you really can't. There might be obstacles out there, because I was almost knocked off a mountain by the yaks. I mean, yaks come flying through, and you're really, really up there with the wildlife, and you just, but after it's done and you kind of like zone into that place where this made a difference to me, and the confidence that you receive by allowing yourself that experience is then visible when you see your photograph. And I'll even convert that into when I'm painting, because now as I'm thinking about the vastness or the esoteric or the exoteric of the work, it is only coming from that, we have two minds. So we have our real waking world. So we have the world that we have logic, and we have social behavior, and we have all those things. And then we have our dream state, which is actually on our unconscious. So this is when, you're in your sleep state. And when you think about where your brain or your mind goes, if you train it by virtue of, staying in prayer or meditation or having the clarity, then you have full access to that little invisible thing. And you can then detach from the suffering of the fear, and you can detach from becoming associated with that feeling and just release it and let it go. And then you walk into that in between the moments so that you capture that. So I think those paintings, those photographs that we take, I know a friend of mine, she's taking pictures of her grandchildren, and I look at my grandchildren and think, I can't take pictures like that the way she does, because there's somehow some magical thing she sees. She just knows she fits right in. And so we're all blessed with something. It's just, do you choose to own it, or do you expect somebody else to tell you how to always get there continuously? Or do you just take the challenge and go, it's my path, and I'm going to walk down it. So, yeah.
You only have one life, so reach out and grab it now before it's too late.
Right.
And Patricia's doing that. Just 2 years ago, she went in a completely different direction, although always loving music, always playing music, even painting by music. She went and learned how to play the drums. I mean,
Yeah.
not learned, like she plays the drums.
Again, that was a shock, because of my really, really best friend from 12 years of age, gap in between, connected with,
Amazing.
yeah. And this is as a professional drummer. And I played the guitar really badly and the piano really badly. But I mean, it's sitting down and just doing your own thing. I always, always, always would listen to music and feel the drum beat or hear the drums. And then several years ago, a friend of mine connected me to another professional drummer, and that is Franklin Vanderbilt, who was Lenny Kravitz's drummer. And I was like, oh my God, like, I just want to be that. I want to be able to sit behind a drum kit. Anyway, so Greg offered me the opportunity to sit behind a drum kit. And I don't know, something just came over me that said, this is the heartbeat of Mother Gaia. I just get you. And the wisdom auditor kicked in, and he said I was teachable. And so I bought a Sonar SQ1 drum kit, and I bought my Gretsch Renowns, and then afterwards bought the second kit. So I have two drum kits, the Sonar SQ1s, and I have the Gretsch Renowns. And all I want to do is just I bought additional pieces. So I've got a massive thing going on with the drums, and it's practice. You just don't sit behind this kit and think it's just all going to happen. So the synapses are trained. Like we train ourselves to do everything anyways, but the synapses to play the drums, you're moving one hand this way to so many beats this way, and your foot's doing something, and you're going to switch. It's like, oh my God. So I truly, truly bow and bow and bow. The drummer is the heartbeat of every band. The drummers are the gods. And I was super lucky as well during one of the paintings series that we did, Lotus 97.7.
Yes. Excellent.
We were painting some of the work to drumming, and also drumming with paint onto the canvases. And then somehow, again, somebody knew that I was interested in this and called me and said, would you be interested in meeting the family of Neil Peart, the drummer who passed away from glioblastoma, the drummer of Rush? And I went, are you kidding me? Like, now we're talking like the cream of the crop of the world. And I said, oh my God, yes. So I did. And they actually, his mother, his two sisters, his niece and husband, and some other family members came to the exhibition at, was known the 13th Street Gallery in St. Catharines, which is now the Mann Gallery. And we had a serious, awesome time talking about, the work, about Neil Peart. I did my artist talk and talked also about the books that he wrote, his journey. And so Hannah and Alex have become very close friends of ours. And they are actually going to be coming to New York to be with me on Saturday. So, yeah.
You're going to be in wonderful company.
So.
Company. It is so amazing to see. Open yourself up. The world is like humongous. You can do anything. Do it. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Any questions out there? Because if not, we want to talk about your art reveal stories in your karmic classes that you teach to bring out. Can you tell us about that?
So the Karmic Art Experience.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. So just before COVID, another part of this, I did decide to continue with my own training, and I went to the University of Toronto, and I did 2 3-year programs. I did applied mindfulness and transformative mindfulness and mindfulness without borders. And when I completed the studies, I felt there was a way of converting this. And again, the teaching, going back to even what, Monsieur Dragic taught me, which was, you have that blank canvas, but the healing process when you're going through your life and you're in that state of attaching yourself to what's gone on with you or where you're at. A lot of times people think that they don't have a vehicle that they can use to recover through it. And I got thinking about how meditation, music, and then painting could all be melanged together. And so I did create the Karmic Art Experience. So I take people who, people say, I don't even know how to make a stick man. The fact that you acknowledge that you don't know how to is telling me that, yes, you already know how to. You just haven't been shown. But I use music. Everyone sits in a room for a good 4 or 5 hours, blank canvas. I walk you through the first thing, the very first moment that you're involved in. And the first thing is you have to walk in with humility and equanimity. And once I've got you grounded in that, then we're all in the same space and listen to the music. And then we choose not so much a theme, but an idea that is important to each person. And once you've chosen that, then I go through the layering process, more music, and then walk them through some stories, and then generate some adjectives and adverbs that can be a little bit uncomfortable, but it pushes you out of, and you have to push hard. And then once you've done that, then there's some secrets, and I'm not going to give them all away here, but people walk out with amazing transformations and good feelings, and they have a painting that they never thought that they could paint. I have had a lady, when I did the IWF, the International Women's Forum, I did their wellness weekend, and it was in Montebello, Quebec. Very, very intelligent women were in this room that, I'm like, wow. This one woman painted, she's right-handed. Through the process, she was guided and painted her entire work with her left hand, and it was incredible. So again, it's having somebody sometimes be able to trigger those things inside of you that cause you to want to create a better you, finding the next you. So yeah. So the Karmic Art Experience is going to be launched in a different way. So once I've got that set up, then definitely it'll be announced, and I'll be doing Facebook, Instagram, and other things. People can sign up, and I'm going to do them not any longer on Zoom. A lot of them now are going to be in person. So I will go to different locations if people want to bring 20 or 25 people together. And so wherever your location is, if you want to get 20 or 25 people together, we'll talk.
Hey guys, how about Washington, D.C.? How about Annapolis, Maryland? How about Dallas, Texas? How about LA? I mean, let's do
Absolutely.
this. DM us. We will figure it out. I think we can do that. So 25 people, you think?
Because like it's intimate. So it's a group. I like 5 people at a table because you're connecting with those 5 people at the same time. I need to, be in a position where I can spend a little bit of time with everybody. So, and the way we're going to be doing it, it will be part of somebody's or another wellness weekend. So there will be other activities. I have a few other people that are coordinating some of the event, and they're going to have cold plunge and then yoga and then another speaker. And then I will do, the good 4 to 5 hours, that we might break that up. So it's all in process, that it will be,
Yeah, we have to reach out to the Ken and Glenn show. Maybe we could do it the day before, the day after, that little mastermind
I'm
group.
trying to talk to him about that. We have that probably won't happen on this particular trip, but I think
there's going to be more, and they're going to be traveling, so we could put it all together. Maybe we host one here. I mean, that would be fantastic. How amazing would that be?
I know.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Dan Altmaier says Patricia's growing into a super badass drummer.
I love it.
We are all inspired by women who are enlightened from Grace.
Grace. Thank you, Grace. Your
Grace,
inspiration.
Grace. We are just amazed by this woman. And you know what? This is like not even the first appetizer of this woman. I am in awe of her. She is so nice. We had the best time in Dallas, Texas. We had the best time, and it just made she was the first person to sign up, the first person to get an award for being the first person, and it was so fun. And I'm following her footsteps in number 2. What can I say? You got to follow the greats, right? The great leaders. Pick out your 9 people that are at your round table that you use as your mentors, because learn. And if you want to step outside your box, get a coach, read a book, try it out on yourself. Think from the end of where you want to leave your legacy. Where do you want to be at the end of your life, and backtrack it.
Yeah.
Right. So what's next on yours? You've got the documentary coming up. You've got the karmic artistry work coming out. What else are you doing? Are you doing some speaking? Where can everyone see you?
I actually
so much better in person. And she's like this little itty bitty thing. She's so adorable.
Oh my God. So writing has been a big deal for me. And I wrote Karmic Alibi, Gaining Expedient Wisdom by Leaving Your Excuses Behind. And that was the book that, thank you to Craig Doswalt for introducing me to my other guru, Glenn Morshower, who Glenn had agreed. Once he read the book, he agreed to do the forward for it. And so after that, I wrote a book called Karma and Cash, which I'm making it's being rewritten now. And then Thirsters and Quenchers is another it's sort of a nonfiction narrative. And I have another fiction book that is a collaboration. And it's going to be sort of more along the lines of the future savior of the world. I have such an obsession with Doctor Strange movie. And when I think of Tilda Swinton as the ancient one, she's my idol. Like, anyone out there who knows Tilda Swinton, please tell her to contact me directly. I need to meet this woman.
Okay, keep sharing this out so everyone can get that message to her, because someone in our circle will know.
Anyhow, so my love for Marvel movies, and it just triggered me creating this character. So I have created a character, and then another character is actually being created around that. And it's really, really super crazy awesome. So that's keeping me in the bubble of happiness. Yeah.
And that's what we want. We want to boldly experience each day in between the moments.
Yes.
As Patricia said. So I want to thank you so much. And we need to hear more and more. And sign me up for every book autograph signed. I can get them for you in person when we meet again at our next event, if not before. Have a lovely trip to New York. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. We had a wonderful time. Please share it out so that everyone else can hear about her. And let us know if you want to come to the karmic experience and really, really learn, because that's just the first drop off that iceberg. You should see what this woman has to offer beneath the surface. Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too.